Welcome back to the 1More K podcast. We are on episode number 50. We are officially now an ultra marathon podcast. Good morning, Ned.
Marcus, good morning, Eb. No, we always thought we would get here, but here's a technicality. Were we an ultra podcast on episode 43? Because ultra is defined as more than a marathon, but there is a debate that it only starts at 50. What are your views?
I think 50 is a magical number, so I stick with 50. It's something in your head that running 43, I think is easier, but running 50 is just, you got to push for it. So no, I think 50 is ultra marathon. I mean, people are saying now it's 100 kilometer. That's when, ultra marathon starts. But hey, I think 50 is good. This is an episode where it's just the two of us again. So all the listeners out there, be ready for a spicy episode of Ned and Marcus. We're going to have a lot here on the menu today. Spicy Singapore food, spicy American food. So we're going to get through this in the next 1 hour. Right, Ned?
Let's do it, man. Let's do it. Although I do love America. Food ain't that spicy over there.
Hispanic, Latino influence is coming, my friend. I mean, in California now, I am getting very spicy food. It is very, very good.
Okay.
All right, let's start off with a quick review of the last episode. Which themes stood out to you? We had a few guests on the show from various parts of the world, from various industries within trail running, ultra running, endurance, triathlon sports. Anything that comes to mind that is worth picking up again and reflecting a bit on?
I think there's two things for me. Number one is that you guided this. I think when we started this, I thought it would just be us interviewing athletes, just general ultra. But from the very beginning when and maybe you should do a little bit more of them because I thought it was fascinating. You did your business research. You did some deep dives. It took us down the road of being that business focus, not just, we are one of the rare ones that does think about the business of ultra. And I think our timing has been quite good because the business of ultra is booming. So I'd say that's the big overall theme, right? It's this big overall theme that we have had these conversations that I wasn't expecting when I started this. I thought we'd be talking athletes about races, but we almost never do. We almost always talk about it. Because you are a much more younger with a more plasticity brain, can remember things better than I. The gentleman, this is the one that stood out. I don't want to pick up, I love all of you out there. The theme is this: the people we talk to are passionate. Of course, they're doing it for money. From all the different people, from John Ellis to the different people, from even the UTMB guys, they're making it. But the French guy who's in China a lot with his, oh my God, I forgot his name. Shame on me. We will have to remember. If you're listening, we will remember you. But what I remembered was this overall, the absolute belief people are putting in, and you can feel it pouring out of them. That's the theme. No one's doing this just for the 9 to 5. That's my feedback. And I feel super happy to talk to those people.
That is very true. Now you said that, I think, if you're in business, you meet a lot of people who are just in it for the business, mainly the money sometimes the ego too. And most of the time it's together. And in our case, it's a combination of both. I mean, there's some people who've been recently joining the crowd, like Zhao, the 100 group. He's been only doing it for a few years. People like John Ellis and others. Michael from Lecky, more than a decade by now.
Yeah.
And I think it, however, is all very similar, that they're all in it for the love for the sport. That is very true.
It is. And I think but the other side is, now you just had it in it for the money. And again, I don't know why I always come back to how old I am, but if this podcast was 20 years ago, nobody was making any money. Like none. And again, to say John Ellis's name again, he's making money. He said he's profitable. Like quite a few guys we're talking, that wasn't a reality before. People, if you are new to this world did not exist like this. Nobody made any money. Like they all did it as a side hustle. And not only did they do it as a side hustle, they lost money. They only did it because they liked hanging out with other runners. And I think that's, at the extreme end. I mean, Marcus, can we find out how much revenue New Normal is doing? I think it would blow our socks off.
They are invited to the podcast. So this brings me to another topic. All the invitations that are outstanding. It seems to be fairly easy to invite race organizers on the show. I mean, we had from David Lloyd, we have Zhao, we had UTMB, we had, of course, Chris at the beginning from ATM. They're coming, they talk. It's great. It's amazing. I think it's fascinating to see the perspective through their eyes. But it's not that easy to get the brand people on the show. So, like John Ellis was quite an exception, and Leakey as well. And I can tell you, however, that the brand guys get a lot of listeners, like a lot of streams. That's what the data is saying. So people do like to hear the brand stories, how they come about, what is their positioning at the moment. So yeah, but also people are very, very busy building and running brands. So we've been trying quite hard to get more brands, and they're more coming, but it's something I've been realizing.
Romain is the guy from Uglo. Romain from Uglo. I mean, it's like anything in life, right? We're not going to get Killian, but we can get the person who might be Killian in 10 years, right? We're not going to get the founders of Hoka, but we can get, today we will have had on our show somebody who will be a mega brand in business, I feel, already. Like, we just don't know it. Hey, Marcus, you know the rule, like in VC land? The person who buys your company, you've already met them, not your company, but in general. If you run a company, the person who buys your company, you met them 5 years ago. You just didn't know it at the time, right? So I think we've probably had some of the great brands of ultra in 5 years' time on the show. And in 5 years' time, if we ask them, we're like, oh, who are you guys? We're like, remember, we were there when you were nobody. So I think it is, the big brands are busy.
There's a question for you. When do you think we're going to see outdoor sport specific venture or investment funds coming up?
Oh, super soon. I would be surprised if there wasn't one. Great question. And again, to my comment from a few minutes ago, there was literally no money in it 10, 20 years ago. I mean, there was just no sense. Whereas today, to my point that I saw Hoka's in, Bloomingdale's, in the fashion shoes, there is money coming. Marcus, we could do a whole show on whether this is a good or a bad thing, but do I think they're already... So is your question, are there outdoor sports funds? Yes. Is there a trail running fund? Don't know, but I don't think it's far away. You? What do you think?
I wonder, because we are pretty plugged into the investment world, I believe, through our previous lives. And yeah, I do know I know funds who are investing or who are trying to invest in this world, but I haven't seen any major announcements. Nothing comes my way. And however, in the same time, we see a lot of new brands being established, New Normal, for example, and so on. And just last week, we talked about the running event where a lot of shoe brands are coming. So I'm wondering who's investing, like who are those investors and where does the money come from right now? So what do you think?
I think so. You mentioned about the feed started by a tech entrepreneur. Let's face it, ultra runners, if you did a income education level assessment, they're pretty high performers. And there are going to be ultra runners and trail runners who have done well in business, in life, in startups, who can fund it from a passion, but they don't just have 100K, they have 5 to 10 million. Because remember, I don't think any brand needs 100 mil. We're not after, Series E type checks here. We're after 1 to 5 to get a thing going. And I think there are a lot of, the level of education. This is what Iron Man used to say. The reason that it appealed to advertisers was that the level of education and income in Iron Man is exceptionally high. I'm going to say pretty much the same in trail running and only booming. And I think a lot of those people have made not a lot. There are enough of those people who've made real money. I don't think it's institutionalized.
No, it's true. I think that's a very good point. I think it's either high-net individuals, so people, millionaires, billionaires who have a passion for this. I mean, we heard it from Michael Supertry, right, where a London-based billionaire is basically funding that. And we have companies like John Ellis, who's been bootstrapped. Lecker is the same. And then I think only probably like family offices who are somewhat high-net individuals, family offices who are somewhat institutional, they might fund things as well. I just want to raise one little comment, though. Maybe you've seen, maybe not, NAC, the nutrition brand from Canada, who is officially the partner of UTMB. They announced their $5 million investment from the Quip. But now listen where it's come from, the money. They raised $5 million, I think Canadian or US, let's say the same, I don't know right now, from the Quebec Entrepreneurship Fund. So the province of Quebec in Canada is the lead investor, at least, into NAC. So nothing institutional, really. It is institutional, but it's a very different type of investor rather than a fund or like a specific investor.
Super. I think it's coming, Mark, because I think, that's the tip of it. These brands, I don't know NAC, and again, I've been in software, but you'd like to think NAC is EBITDA positive, so it's making money. You'd like to think they spend, if I got 5 million and, at NAC, you spend 4 million on brand and marketing just because it's a crowded marketplace. If it's already a functioning business, you could just pour a truckload into marketing and stand out, because I think brand, is so, as you said, you went to the running show. Are all those shoes much different? I don't know, but not really. Why do we buy On Hoka Asics? Because it's a brand, right? So it'd be interesting to see what they do with that 5 million.
Yeah, I think you're putting out a very important point, which is the venture funding is needed for marketing, which is a bit different to the tech venture fund, where you need the funds to develop a technology, let's say software, an app or whatever it is, in order to then scale it up through some kind of hockey stick growth. It's very different in a physical product, because you need to fund your marketing, and of course you need to fund your inventory in your supply chain, and that's a very different type of fund structure, or like funding needed there, I believe, rather than a technology company. So I'm personally thinking, how would I structure a fund if I would set up a fund for this world in order to be the right fit for brands that in this space,
Oh, let's see how it develops. It is, I'm going to say, it's a brave new world. It's a real world now in terms of business. Marcus, on another podcast, is this a good thing? Or should we all just go back to being hippies in the woods, running around, paying $10 to enter a race, Laz style? That's another topic. Does money corrupt everything in the end? We will find out.
All right, let's switch gears here a bit. Let's talk about David Roche on the Rich Roll podcast. We have had this conversation already before the show. It got quite controversial. So anyone out there who has not listened to David Roche, and I'm assuming right now that everyone knows David Roche by now. We talked about him on the show multiple times. He won Leadville. He won the Javelina 100. He is a coach. He's been doing 18 years of running, previously coming from football. He was on Rich Roll podcast. Rich Roll, one of the biggest podcasters of our times. Big shout out to Rich. And he was on a podcast for 2.5 hours, and you and I listened to it. Why don't you start, Ned? What was your impression on this episode with David and Rich?
Can I just ask? I'll just ask a question, because I don't want to taint anything. Did you listen to all of it?
I listened to 78%, I think, by now.
Good enough. Fine.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Okay, good. I thought it was fabulous. I thought it was one of the most impressive podcasts I have listened to. I thought it was a lot of feeling in there. David Roche, for whatever reason, inspires pretty clear. You like or you don't like. I don't like the word hate, because it's not a nice word. People either are with David or not, and David acknowledges this. I have listened to his own podcast, More Work, Less, or More Play, Less Work, or whatever it's called, with Megan. It is the most high. I mean, I'm quite a high energy dude. It makes me look catatonic compared to these two. I mean, they are. And I struggled to listen to it. It was just so. But David in that room was so. I mean, He's a scientist, so I have prescribed to his high calorie. Now, is it his? It doesn't matter whether it's his or whatever. He has been talking a lot about this high calorie. I've used it and it's worked. So I'm already biased towards him. But his shoot your shot, put the goal all the way out there. Yet his softness. I don't know if you listened to the bit. He said he couldn't play football because he didn't want to hurt anybody, and he'd rather just play Scrabble with them, right? That's him. Like, he is this soft, in my opinion. I don't know him. And I loved it. Yet sometimes he's so gentle, and then would suddenly just swear randomly. Like, he's hard to put in a context. So what I found was appealing to me was, I think his science works. I did not know he coached John Kelly. I don't think anyone's going to debate with his results. He coaches John Kelly, Damian Hall, his wife's anyway, blah, blah, blah. And I know they went down the Spring Energy stuff, like that, whatever. I just thought his thought process of go for that goal all the way out there, like all the way, and fail for 18 years to put that on the start line, and the way he talked about it to me, man, I mean, I had a failed attempt to run 50K last night because my hamstrings broke, and I was listening to it, man, I'll be honest, like, I don't know if you get to the end of it, he was almost in tears thinking about the 18 years of missing the shot from the half court, and as he said, finally swishing the basket. I'm a sucker for stories, man. It appealed to me deeply, and now I'm a massive fanboy. That's me. Okay. And you?
Well, I tried listen to it, and I think I got to 10 seconds, and I just said, I cannot listen to this. I turned it off, and I told you, Ned, I can't listen to it. And you said, no, continue. Yeah, so I did continue. I wish I could have had some kind of voice filter to change the voices of these people. But hey, no voice is perfect. I know that I don't have a perfect voice. But yeah, I can't listen to those people. But then once you listen to it, yeah, I think It is interesting. I just don't buy this kind of storytelling. And I believe everything he's saying. I mean, looking at the reality as it is, I take everything as it is. I observe that he is clearly into research. He is clearly into pushing boundaries. He is a geek. He is a scientist. He's a researcher. I think is great. And that's what I observe. What I also observe is that his vulnerability and his idea of love and hate, he's talking too much about it that I start to doubt it. And I said to you before that if someone says this product is natural 5,000 times, I start to doubt that's actually a natural product. Or, AG1 is another crazy example, right? That it's the best product ever, and then of course it's not because it's just spirulina powder. So I feel like he's how do I say it in English? Like he's blowing his own horn in one theme a lot, and that makes him less credible on that front, on that particular front of being vulnerable and being all about love and love. But on the research side and of the geeky side, I do think that he has helped the industry to be more aware of certain ideas. I'm sure these ideas have been there before, but given his audience and given his reach, I'm sure he's able to educate more people. And I think that's good. It helped you. It's helping the industry. So I think that's a fantastic way of doing it. But I'm a bit more nuanced about the storytelling part and the research part. And I think the storytelling is the storytelling. You're a sucker for it. I don't believe it should. But on the research side, I do think it's fantastic to get to know these things. Yeah.
And look, I think that's it's a good way because you are more analytical. I'm just more kind of, I'm like, oh my God, it's a great story. I'm in. Let's go. And you're right. He is quirky as F. Like he is. It's contextual in that he can be super general, and then he's almost like F the haters. And I don't know. So I get it. I can see why people wouldn't buy it. And let's be clear, Marcus. The audience is very split. It's not like Roger Federer. Like no one really hates Roger Federer, right? Like I think I'm not sure some people do, but it's very hard to hate Roger Federer, right? Whereas David Roche clearly has he says, there's a few things he said that got to me. And again, I'm a storyteller. He said the internet's way scarier than the real world because he's had a lot of shit. Now I know he's put himself in the place, right? If you put yourself in the field, you're going to get smacked, right? If you put yourself in the boxing ring, you're going to get smacked, right? And he puts himself in the ring, so he's going to get smacked, right? So I get it. I can see your point there. And I still believe in Father Christmas, right? So that's an issue. But by the way, right at the end of the podcast, he had a friend. I mean, obviously, I'm a sucker for it. You'll probably roll your eyes, but he was asked about Leadville and all of this, blah blah blah. And David Roche said, "Look, you are a quandary. You love, yet you are fierce." He said, "You don't need to be a killer to kill. I turned up at Leadville and I kill, and I will always kill. But you don't have to be a killer." I really like that. I love the phrase, "You're a killer." I really like it, but it comes with negative, aggressive connotations. You know me, man. I'm quite love and peace, right? I try not to hate on anybody, right? I try. I can be a douchebag sometimes. So I get it, man. Like, I think he is. But then again, he's good story for the industry. If everybody was vanilla, the industry would be boring.
No, 100%. 100%. I think he is controversial. He's rubbing people the wrong way for good reasons. He's pushing on other fronts. I think it's good. I mean, everyone loves Killian. I think we also need people in industry who are, pushing a bit the conversations.
Did you see? I sent to you his Strava, and we should move on from David Roche a month ago because he's going for Western States after he won Javelina. Did you read his Strava post about Western States? Whew, let's go. You don't have to be a killer to kill. He basically wrote, "I'm winning Western States, and I just am." Like you. Wow. You might not love this. I'm winning Western States. Why am I saying this? Because I have to believe. And I'm winning Western. And it was a get out of my way. And it was full of F this and F that. Get out of my way. Actually, it was almost like, you don't need to get out of my way because you can't touch me. I'm winning Western States.
Yeah. I mean, that's like Jim, 8 years ago when he was like, I'm going to win Western States, right? So it's very similar. Interesting. Well, I think that let's observe this more. I think I'm curious to see where it goes, and good to have a conversation about it.
I would say Rich Roll is the OG. Whether you listen, everyone should listen to Rich. I thought it was great. So do take a chance, and I would love to hear your views. I think it's fair to say, Marcus, it's definitely worth a listen if you can get over David Roche's slightly stranger voice.
For sure. No, 100%. I think that's worth it. I mean, on the same note, like you have also some ideas about storytelling that tell us more about how you want to tell stories about your upcoming adventure, 500 kilometers.
Marcus, man, I wrote that on the plane. I I'm I can be emotional. And Marcus, we've never talked about music. Music means quite a lot. And I listen. And when I put certain tunes, like all of us, right, it gets you in certain moods and certain ways of feeling. And I was just flowing, man. So I wrote this rather interesting. So context, me and Marcus riff that ultra documentaries are not always exciting. I said to Marcus, I'm going to fix this. As you listeners kindly know, I'm going to the Big's Backyard World Championship, which means a lot to me. You may not know, but I'm a Z grade influencer on LinkedIn. I use LinkedIn as a way to help sell my business. And I've created a little community of people who follow a bit of my sales talk, but my running. And I have appreciated that storytelling works for me as a person. And so I'm going to do a film and a story about me going to Big's Backyard. I don't know if you actually want me to read. I'm not going to read it out. Anyway, it's called Breaking Backyard. It will based. I don't know if any of you saw that my crew at Backyard was this young 27-year-old little dude. He's Jesse. I'm Walt. We have some interesting scenes to open it as me as Walt and him as Jesse. As Marcus said, some dancing in a Tennessee supermarket. Zach Miller, if you're listening to this, I'd like you to intro the film dressed as Zach Galifianakis on Between Two Ferns. You can put on a fat suit if you are not, if you're not in shape, you can just go as you are. You will interview some of the greats, Harvey and Sam, who will say that Ned's going to win. You'll interview some of my friends like Dear Marcus, wondering if Ned can make one lap. And yeah, I'm going to make if anybody knows who Hunter S. Thompson, Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, what's called gonzo journalism. I mean, gonzo journalism is a story without a point and a purpose. It's just random. And I think that's what Ultra needs. So yeah, I'm going to have a swing at it, Marcus.
Nice. So you're basically making a comedy.
No. You know the film Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, right?
Yeah.
Of course. So, but it's called gonzo journalism. Now, they did it with lots of drugs. So they took lots of drugs, went on a journey and just wrote whatever they saw on their trip. But let's be clear, backyard's a trip, man. Like backyard's a hallucinated, it's a pointless trip. So yeah, I am going to make a nonsensical, not a comedy, but what's called gonzo journalism. It may not have a point. It may not seem to flow, but it has a point by the end. But it should be both funny, irrelevant, bit Monty Python.
What's the length you're predicting it might be? 50 minutes. Wow, okay.
Long. Yeah.
And who's editing it, or how are you gonna edit it?
Marcus, I'm not even ready for this podcast 10 minutes before it starts. I have not figured these little things out.
Good, I love it. I mean, we said before that new approaches, new ideas, crossing the boundaries, crossing the industries is what it needed. We don't need another documentary. Wake up in the morning with your coffee and your breakfast and go for a run in a smoky, dirty, whatever environment. You just got to get out. Okay, cool. I love it. I'm curious about this. That's good storytelling. Yeah.
I mean, look, I'm willing to put myself out there. The opening scene will be me in a pair of those white underpants, like Walt on Breaking Bad, stumbling around. So we'll see. I'm willing to have a swing at it.
Nice. All right, let's talk about other innovation happening, which is of course AI. And I did think we did talk about it, I think, half a year ago, I feel like by now. But let's look into it again, because I've been playing around more with AI. So have you on your sales movement front. And I wanted to kind of touch base on this topic again, because I think we're going to see a tremendous amount of AI coming to the trail running, outdoor sports space as well, in different forms and shapes. So to start up the question, like, what do you think, how can AI be useful in our industry?
Well, Marcus, I'm going to partly throw it back to you, because a few days ago or last week, you sent me like a trading plan and this cool nutrition calculator, and you were like, I built this in X minutes, and it wasn't X months, it was X minutes, and it was, I think it can be, so Marcus, and this is, to me, I think we're only left with storytelling.
That's actually maybe already the outcome of the whole conversation, what cannot be done by AI right now very well. But let's one step back and think where in 2018, actually, I remember when I was living in Singapore and I had some ideas about new business ideas, I went down the route of an app development. The idea was to, hey, why don't I just scrape the internet in Asia for Asian races, get all the results, get all the images. So it's basically a center hub for your trail running race journey. So results, races, registration, images. Long story short, I'm not a developer. I can't do tech. I had to hire some people, I think, in India. And, you do the design process. This, like, you have to design it. You have to give it to a developer. It takes 2 weeks for the sprint, and then you get it back. And then it's just such a long process. And it's so painful. And we had an MVP, some kind of product, but it was painful. Now I thought, hey, I get so many requests on the LECA front, nutrition front, from our, especially emerging market athletes and distributors saying, how do we actually apply nutrition for marathon, ultra marathon? How much calories do we need per hour? Blah, blah, blah. And I said, like, why don't we just use AI to build something? And I found this wonderful tool called Replit. I prompted into the chat, build me a nutrition planner for half marathon, marathon, ultra marathon based on age, net weight, distance, so on and so on. And literally within 4 minutes, it just really just created this web app. You can give in details and it tells you exactly what to take: calories, carbohydrates, sodium, and fluid. You can save it, download it, and that's it. So right now, if you're online, go to planner.getlecker.com. You can use it. It's free. I wouldn't say right now it's highly scientific. It is based on AI research, which combines a lot of different type of frameworks together. But, as a start, I was very impressed by just that simple 4-minute step of creating a nutrition planner based on your weight. And when you do some research online, I couldn't actually find that much. Like you have some brands who also do something like that. But in general, most of things are still spreadsheet based. There was some kind of really weird old kind of forms, nothing really fancy. I thought, wow, there's something in the space with AI you can do. So just in the nutrition planning front, you can do something, which if you spin it further, you can go down the route of, hey, how can you, do virtual coaching? And we know that coaching is a huge business. And I don't think we need to replace the high-end coaches like, David Roche of the world, the elites who do want to pay and who also need that coaching. But I can see as a beginner, you have your data from your smartwatch, you have Strava. You kind of can now get super easy AI coaching just to help you with nutrition, for example, or your training plan or your sleeping plan or whatnot it is. And that's, I think, where AI on the beginner level can really make a difference, for example.
Super impressive what you built, man. Like, it looked good, did what it said on the tin. It was really cool. I mean, listeners, Marcus mentioned it. It was really cool and does change how you think about it, because no longer do we need coaches, we need it all. But if you want something simple to get started, and I think that's where the industry's at. If you are running a 3:01 marathon, I don't think an AI bot's going to get you to 2:59, right? You need a coach to really understand you, to take you. If you're struggling, if you're already at a pretty damn good level. But if you're beginners and you're just starting and you're getting going, like nutrition plans and coaching plans and races, and it could all be planned out. I also think we're right at the beginning of this. So think about it. 10 years ago, whatever tech we thought was amazing then, we now think sucks. So in 10 years' time, when you're my age, Marcus, in 20 years, you'll look back and be like, oh my God, how terrible was that planner I built? It was so behind the times. So it is amazing. I am with you, but it's going to be crazy how much further it's going to get, as long as it doesn't run the races for us.
Well, yeah, I do think, so two more points on that. I think it basically starts replacing the junior developers, the junior engineers, where
Sure.
I'm not claiming to build a highly technologically driven product right now. You still need your engineers for very deep integrations, and that's not possible. You still have to hire people for that. But for the beginner level stuff, you can definitely do it. That's one. And then second, when are we going to see robot races? I think Optimus, the robot from Tesla, is getting so good. I saw a video last week catching an apple or a ball. It was so sick. It was just perfect human-like movement catching a ball. You've seen also other videos of robots climbing trees and jumping across boxes and so on. Just imagine having a robot race at some point.
Somebody sent me in, I think it was the Shanghai Half Marathon, a robot ran. He ran, and I saw
Yes. I saw that. Yeah, exactly.
Obviously, you could tell it was a robot. You could obviously, but it was impressive, man. I tell you, do you think a robot could run, what's it called? Oh my God, a hard rock. Because that's technical. Then it's getting challenging. Could it run at UTMB? Could a robot handle all of the twists and the turns? I think, a road marathon on a flat road, I get it. Be fascinated to see when a robot could run UTMB.
I give it a few years. For sure. Why not? I think it's definitely likely to do it. Unfortunately, I have to say that many of the robots are trained for war scenarios, which are in very technical terrain, and the AI is trained for that. Just like the nuclear power was based on certain defense systems, or like in this case war systems. Robots are also going to be trained for certain scenarios, and I think it doesn't take long for them to just run over anything that we want them to. Yeah, we have robot races coming up where you can sit at home, you can bet on the robot, right? You have your cryptocurrencies where you have your team 1more K who is going down the route, and we're going to bet on the winner because we have better AI. Who knows, my friend? And then we sit there at home and just watch through the robot eyes with our goggles fields and see the beautiful UTMB route sitting at home eating popcorn.
You watched?
Ready Player One?
No, the film from quite a while. Wall-E. You've watched Wall-E?
I feel like I did, but I cannot really remember what I did.
It's the dystopian world where everything's wiped away and we just sit in big chairs eating popcorn because we don't need to move anymore. Because what happens is we don't need to move and everything's in front of us. So we sit in the chair and eat popcorn and get fat. Oh, hold on. We've already done that. Hold on. We've already done that.
Yeah. Well, how are you using AI in your sales movement? I always wanted to hear that.
Avatar. So I'm not the most technical man on earth. That's no surprise to anybody. But I was working with some people. We built avatars. What I mean is, who is your ideal customer and what are they worrying about? So you sell into what people are, because people buy things when they need something. So we built little hooks, and it was really impressive. A hook is a way, I'm in sales, that you attract someone's attention. You don't attract attention by saying, my gel is tasty, because everyone says a gel is tasty. You attract it by saying, my gel makes you finish quicker, or my gel will stop you going to having distress, or, it solves problems. My little sales movement was, you want to hit your targets. You don't want the VC to give you crap for missing your targets. Do you want your sales reps to hit their target? All this type of stuff. It basically built this like 50 hooks to get people. And I didn't love them all, but it was pretty damn good, man.
Yeah, all the agents, when you're going to have an avatar, you can either talk to or chat to, that could be your coach in the nutrition world or in the training world. I think it's very, very likely very soon.
Very soon.
Yeah. On the other front, I've been playing around with audio. So there is Notebook LM. It's a service for free right now by Google, I believe, where you can feed it with audio and text files, and it creates a conversation between two people summarizing the key text or the key content theme of whatever you've been feeding it. So I've been, for example, with Lecker, we changed our packaging material, and I thought, why would I talk about it on the Lecker Bites podcast, the different other podcasts I'm doing, and trying to sell our packaging material? I had those two AI experts talk about the packaging material, and I think that actually was more credible and more objective rather than me talking about it. Listen to it; it's not bad. It's actually it feels like a real conversation between two real people talking about packaging, and I'm quite impressed how they spin the story, how they find the different reasoning, and not, it's not awkward. It's not at all wrong. It's almost real. It's scary.
You've seen some of these things, like, the music song, was it Kanye or somebody, or Drake, where somebody produced music and it's like, this is Drake's music, and it wasn't and it was like a duo of two people singing together, and it was like, what? Yeah. So
that's why, back to storytelling, I think that's the outcome, right? We, as an industry, as in our case, we are running informatic entertainment show here on 1MoreK. We can only try our best to bring out human stories and make sure that we tell the truth as much as possible, and convey emotions that others can't, or that AI can't, for now at least, and make sure we keep it going. So
I think we're not an AI show. AI will do many amazing things. I'll give a little bit of context and then we shall move on. Do you know what a Luddite is?
No.
So if you Google Luddite, Luddite, and you'll see it was started in 18-something or 1790 by a gentleman called Ned Ludd, Ned, Ludd. And Ned Ludd said plows will stop humans having any purpose in life, because in his era people were farmers, so they dug vegetables. When the plow came and the factories came, he said we must smash the factories and smash the plows, because otherwise humans will have nothing to do. Now it seems ludicrous to think, and a Luddite is somebody who resists technology. In fact, he's called Ned Ludd. It's just a little coincidence. Whatever we think today is going to replace us all, in 100 years' time we'll think it was ridiculous. So we can't be Luddites. We can't believe it's. I'm not saying it's all good, but we humans are clever. We'll find, Marcus, when you were born, you didn't want to work for Google. You know why? Because it didn't exist, right? The company that our kids want to work for doesn't exist today. It's not OpenAI. Yeah. It's not Facebook. It's not Google. It doesn't exist. We humans are so spectacular. We'll invent new things for ourselves to do.
Yeah, for sure. I think coming to the point of invention, I think is a nice segue to the next theme I have here on the docket, which is, let's face it, Western governments are pretty bankrupt, including, or at least in high debt. Right? And we are seeing, there was a big announcement in the trail community in the US, I thought I want to pick up, is that the US government is cutting the spending on the recreation which is basically taking care of all the trails in US and is having a hiring freeze for new park recreation managers, which affects the trail running community in a way quite a bit, because you need those park recreation rangers to clear the trails, make sure that you have toilet paper, you know. So what do you think? This is kind of a macro question right now, but I do think it's important. How does trail running evolve now that the governments are a bit more tighter in their spending and might not support outdoor national parks, the Alps, the trails so much anymore?
I wonder if, I have not thought about this till you said it. I think a couple of you know that I like surfing. I used to skateboard a bit. I wonder if we go down the surf skate route or the skate route, just F it all. We'll just run on trails. Come and catch us. You know, the renegade way, right? Like we are the cool kids on the outside. What? Your trails aren't open? Screw you guys. We'll run on the trails. Come catch me. Oh, what? You can't catch me because there's no rangers anymore? I don't know. Because in Asia it's different. There's no, Asia's got plenty of money, so it's all good, and there's lots of big mountains and all that type of stuff. But you're right. The rules. I when I was in America, I mean, look, I adore America. My kids live in America. Let's be clear. I adore America. The rules about getting into national parks, honestly, I have no interest in running in the national parks in America. I am not applying for a license. If I want to run on a trail, I'll run on a trail. You want to get a license? I run on a trail. I'm not paying you a license. It's called the big outdoors. If you watch Into the Wild, the famous book, his point was, I need a license to paddle down the Grand Canyon. Now, I know that's it's very busy. I have an idea. There's a billion other rivers that no one gives a shit about. Go there. So, yeah, that's my little impact. I think I'll get impassioned about that. My impassioned plea is, F it all. You don't need toilet paper. You don't need park rangers. Just go to a mountain when no one's looking and crack on.
I think it's a very good take. I think it will go back to the people. We will organize trails ourselves. I think people are creative and innovative in different ways. So I think too much government also is not very good. And trails are trails, nature's nature. We will merge in ourselves into it, and we respect it. It's all good.
America's massive, massive, massive. Go and get lost somewhere in wherever, Montana. I mean, and guys, if you're in America and there's not enough trails, get a plane to Mongolia. You'll have plenty of stuff to run on. I promise you.
That's true. All right, then on the racing front, we had some more data coming from the Western States Lottery, which is arguably always a very big one. In 2023, there were 7,169 entrants. This year, there were 9,383, so more than 2,000 more entrants to the lottery. I read the number that 70-something thousand lottery tickets were given out. So the growth is insane. Western States keeps growing, which is, I think, is a great benchmark to have for the whole industry.
It doesn't. Well, Western States doesn't grow because it's limited by the park rangers, who only allow 365 or whatever number of people. 100%, it could sell out a bazillion times over. It's interesting, right? It's definitely an interesting. I was on a call yesterday with a young founder, 22, just got into running. He's been into running like a year. He's like, "Yeah, I've applied for the lottery." I'm like, "You mean the Powerball New York State Lottery?" He's like, "No, Western States." I'm like, "Dude, much love and much love and much respect, dude, but you've been running for 2 years." He's like, "Yeah." I'm like, wow.
Wow. Okay, I never applied for the lottery myself, but people seem to be okay. That explains maybe why there's a lot of demand, because social media probably helps to spread the word, and also that's where these names are getting very popular, and everyone wants to go there.
I mean, look. So you're right. I think the data suggests more and more. But interestingly, Marcus, when we had Eugene on the show a couple of times, he said he has less people than before COVID. Yet, if you peruse social media, it feels like there's more. And in my world, we can't get through an episode without backyard. There's backyards just popping. Even you said it last week. There's backyards popping up all over the place. Yet some people say there's less. It's interesting.
Yeah. This weekend we have Chiang Mai happening UTMB Chiang Mai happening in Thailand, and actually exciting race because we have some very strong females fighting it out. Sumaya, Buddha, Yao, and also Hao Ha in one race. So finally, we're going to have, I think, first time in a long time at least, or maybe the first time ever, Sumaya and Hao Ha.
Sumaya,
I
don't know Hao Ha. You know better because she's been in Vietnam. She seems such a wonderful person. They all do. But I think the money would be on Sumaya to win that.
I actually think the Chinese Yao Mao, I think she seems very strong.
Okay.
Yeah, I would right now bet on her. Second it's difficult between Hao and Somaya. Somaya is better on short distance and Hao is better on long distance. So
yeah, true. Is this 100K or 100? Is this 100K or 100 miles?
Oh, now you ask me a good question. I think it's 100 kilometers, if I'm not wrong.
If it's 100K, it's probably more Somaya, right? Because she just has better speed from what I can tell.
That's true. She's fast. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I mean, both are very fast, but yeah, it's interesting how this plays out. Yeah, anyone out there, watch it. I think it's going to be cool to follow.
100%.
All right. That's from my side for today. Very wild mix of themes. We're just getting through various parts of this wonderful business.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Then, as usual, we are coming back to the last part, the net drop. I'm very curious to hear yours today, and I'm handing over to you.
Thank you. Let me check. I got it here in front of me. All right, man. Well, listen. Where are you? You there?
I'm here.
Okay. Has been a journey, man. We like anything. I love this idea that you can create something out of an idea. You create Lekker just out of will and effort. Now, Lekker has a tangible thing. We could say that the podcast is tangible. I mean, it's on Spotify. You can go and not feel it, touch it, see it. But really, it's just, I love the idea with just words, you can create something. So, Markus, I appreciate you being part of this. Well, no, this is your journey that I'm along with, our journey that we're along with. It has been fun, and I think we'll do it forever. So here's my little poem to us. This one's called 50. 50. 8 was average. Most podcasts stop by episode 8. 20 was top 10%. 50 is, it's us. It's not for the numbers. The numbers are fun, like running. We all love the numbers. We love races. But if there were no numbers, no ultra, no 50, we would still be out there. Just like one more K. Even if this was always just episode 1, we would still do it. Why? Because like running, this has been magical. We made it out of nothing. Me and my bestie Markus, talking, listening, laughing, wondering, just like running. We would do it even if no one listened. But because we love it, each week we connect. It forms a bond that's hard to describe, just like a run with a friend. Me and Markus, we are in flow, running, talking, listening. That's what we get to do every week. And I feel blessed. And you, the listener, out there, running, listening, laughing, we hope we came with you. We hope we heard you, just like you heard us. 50, 500, 5,000. We're here forever. Never stop. Just like running, we'll see you out there. Ned.
Oh, thanks, man. That is very nice of you. I appreciate the sentiment. Yeah, to the 500. That is the next big step. We just keep rolling. Just keep rolling.
Here's the thing, man. It has been tremendous fun. You are the power and the organizer. You know, I ramble onto this show. You do all of the hard, good work. So I appreciate it. And I think we would do it. I mean, you know, we don't know if people are listening. We know they are, but we just turn up every week and we enjoy it, and it's fun, man. Like I'm always like, yay, it's one more K time. Let's go. It's always this nice, fun thing to do. So thank you, man. 50 has been fun.
That's true. And we didn't miss a week. So that is also quite something.
No thanks to me. If it was left to me, we would be missing tons of weeks.
Yeah, I do credit my flexibility there quite a bit to make it work sometimes.
Your patience is legendary, and I appreciate it.
Yeah, that's true. It's all a big endurance race, as you know it. Wonderful. Well, anyone out there, thanks for joining the journey. As Ned said, really appreciate you coming along. We have several hundred people listening usually, so that's quite exciting per episode. People give us great feedback. But again, as usual, if you have any ideas, any more people we should get on the show, please reach out. We're very open for having conversations about business. We are passionate about it. We love discovering, unpacking, unwrapping all these stories. So that's great. And until next week.
Absolutely. Lots of love, everybody. We'll see you on episode 51.